does sound bad. She didn't go nowhere.
It didn't take long for us to find some weak links, but we built it back and kept on ripping.
First 10-second pass. All right, not bad there, lads. All right, guys, on the previous time slip right there, we were gaining about 25 miles an hour on the second 8th mile. As you can see right now, we're going up 28 miles an hour. Well, that's a little bit more power, and 132, that's pretty good. This intercooler, again, Josh helped us design this. This is our brainchild. This thing is the best intercooler I've ever seen. I've gained 1 degree on the intercooler. I've never even been around anything that's that good. Oh, I mean, it's making a load more power. I just screwed up, and man, 6.7 in the 8th, but 111 mile an hour. That's telling you it's getting the job done. I mean, we should have been probably trapping about 139, maybe a little bit more right there. Definitely 60-footed better.
Certain parts of this build, there were definitely some things on my bucket list that I got to check off. RPM Transmissions has given us tremendous support with this unique transmission, but after breaking it the second time, we decided to go with the much beefier Magnum T56 main shaft. And with it, a much stronger transfer case as well.
Things kind of been shelved for, geez, dude, 5 or 6 months, kind of like all the other cycles that we go through.
So we had to LOJ modify our transfer case adapter. We cut the main shaft down so that everything would fit just right.
Fellas, this is our predicament, and it has been quite a weird one here. So Laz, we're gonna need to break it all down to the best of our knowledge here.
I know, we need Jack stand here to break it down.
I know, we really do. Like, we actually waited for like a month for James to come in here. He'd been busy doing stuff back and forth and whatever, but that was definitely part of our holdup. That right there is a T56 Magnum main shaft right there.
For Corvette.
Yes, so we had upgraded this, so this should be a 31 spline. This should be able to handle whatever we wanted to be able to do. We cut it all down, put it all back together in the S10, and we had like
the TR6060 case. And then James came, pulled this thing apart like nothing.
Well, hold on. We had 1 gear.
Oh yeah.
So we didn't have any sort of working thing.
No selection on gears. So James came when he had time, pulled it apart, and he was trying to get the selector shaft up in position to line up with the corresponding holes that the dowels go in on the case. He's like, hey, sometimes the stuff slips out when they put it together if they're in a rush. He tries that, and every time he did it, it'd want to pop into the next gear. And then he started looking at it, and he's like, hey, if this might be a T56 selector shaft and a TR6060 because the thickness on the front bell housing faceplate is different, because this has a 1 piece and the 56 is 2 pieces, I guess you could take the bell housing off. He said that'll make a difference. So I talked to Jeremy at RPM, and he's like, hey, pull it apart the rest of the way, give me a picture of the bottom detents
so
on it.
These guys right here, yeah. Because that's where the ball sits, so
he's
for
like,
the selector.
I can look at those and tell you exactly which one it is, and then we'll work on getting you the right parts. So now we're at that point.
So we still haven't had a resolution on that. RPM's been crazy busy now. They've been incredibly helpful, and they've taken care of us really, really, really well. And we do use their products all the time. I mean, they make some awesome stuff. This is just such an oddball situation. I mean, this is like nobody's really done this, you know?
And we're looking at everything, and James is like, hey, this is something we can knock out in-house. And he does the Leroy trans all the time.
I know a lot of people are like, oh, you guys don't finish stuff. If we're doing a lot of stuff that is kind of uncharted territory, and this is kind of what happens when you do something like that. You get into a dead end, and then, you know, it has been very difficult with all of our YouTube stuff as far as like trying to knock out customer cars. And guys, we've been knocking out some crap. It's been crazy the amount of work that we've done. So when something like this goes wrong and we don't have an answer, it has to get kind of just shelved for a little bit. It gets backburnered, and unfortunately that sucks, but it's a real issue, and we really didn't want to say anything until we had some more further knowledge. And now that we have that knowledge, we're still kind of, we're backburnered now. I mean, we're just like anybody else. You know, we got to wait our turn and all that. We had thought about sending the trans back and so on and so forth, but again, we thought, hey, maybe we could just fix it right here because, you know, again, Jack Stan can do that.
Should have been a faster resolution, might have turned into a longer one.
This has now been, you know, about a 4 or 5 month thing, honestly. I mean, really, we had this trans when LS Postal came down, and that was in Cletus and Cars in November or October or something like that. So realistically, it's been that long that we've had that. That's a long time.
Done a lot of other stuff in the meantime.
We are an incredibly busy business, and because we don't totally trust everything that's going on with YouTube, we're doing what we can to try and play both sides, and it is tough. It is very, very tough, but I feel that's the best decision for us and for our guys. Knock out customer stuff, because we're still plenty hot on that, and we still knock out stuff, make great power, make people happy. But this is so frustrating. So it was just kind of one of those things.
It's a daily reminder, because every day it's push the S10 out, push the S10 back in. It's a daily reminder, guys. It's not, you know,
it's not like we forgot about it.
Jump in and drive it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's just like, oh God, it'd be so much nicer to just drive it in, but
and then,
no, it doesn't.
Then he pulls in a 370
with nice interior and working pretty good. We really want to get the S10 up and running. There may be a fork in the road here where we decide to go a totally different route. That may be happening in the next couple days here. We had some things in the works, things that we're going to probably be doing with Uncle Sam, and that might change to the S10. We just don't totally know yet. So really just wanted to give you guys an update on what was going on here. It's been incredibly frustrating for us, and we want to get it up and running more than anybody, and to really prove what it can do, because we are absolutely in love with the power plant. I mean, guys, we made, I think we made like 830 horsepower on lower boost, and we know that this thing can absolutely rip. And we never really got a totally good shakedown at the track, and it went low 10, so.
The parts have worked good on Rodney, though.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we've donated so many parts to Rodney. Rodney's up and ripping, and it works great on Rodney, but we really like to see what that S10 can do. Well, this has now been a couple days removed from that last recording there, and basically we have a little bit more knowledge here. Laz, if I recall right, when those two were stacked up, as we were trying to get them together, and the slider would go in to try and, you know, sync the gears with the synchros, we were having multiple gears that were engaging at the same time.
Is what?
The installed height of this is different, especially with this non-native shaft here. T56 Magnum, which is in a TR6060, mismatched hodgepodge, a bunch of parts and all that.
What pictures that we sent to Jeremy Jones at RPM, he said some stuff looks okay, but hey, this is not looking right, guys. You need to send that in. And that was part of the second gear slider and second gear, which might have been the one getting in contact, and why it wasn't wanting to actually switch gears. Very little drive time on this whatsoever. We really just went up and down the road maybe once, and it wasn't even me driving, it was somebody else driving, and they're like, dude, I got no gears, so just only had first gear, nothing else would engage. And in that short amount of time, we may have damaged second gear.
Yeah. So unfortunately, after all this time, so we were down 6 months pretty much before, you know, and getting the trans and all that, and now we were down 6 months basically again. Such a frustrating thing trying to, you know, blaze new trails here with this, but we're gonna send it back to RPM, and they should be able to get everything totally squared away, and we're looking forward to having this thing up and ripping again very shortly. Jeremy Jones at RPM, he's like, hey, just, you know, put it in press, pull these gears off, take pictures of them, send them to me.
And I'm like, all right, I'll talk to James about doing that. And I talked to James. He's like, hey, I don't have those tools here. I'm like, all right, how much are the tools? He's like, a cheap set might be $500 if you can find one. And like, for us to get that locally, there's just nothing around. I just got off the tool truck 10 minutes ago. He didn't have any on there.
And I think we checked it out, and it was maybe $300 or $400 at the cheapest.
Probably not gonna use it again.
Yeah, exactly. And that was gonna be my next point, is if we buy something that's a one-time use like that, I mean, might as well just, you know, I'd really like to get it back in RPM's hands and make sure that they can do an absolute top-notch job like they've done in the past for us. Well, see you later, transmission, sending you out again. Well, one final thing that I wanted to end on here, I kept this one really close to my chest. I've actually been having an automatic built for a while because I wanted to go out and really seriously go drag racing with Uncle Sam. I got a Turbo 400 that is built and it's waiting for me up in Gainesville, and it is rated at being able to take a whole lot of power. However, trying to be able to get that to fit in this S10,
another story.
Yeah, but we could instantly throw that thing in there and it should be pretty doggone fast.
Just run it two-wheel drive. Just see
it would.
Goes.
Big old stickums on the back there. I'd really like to see this thing go down to the track fast.
Yeah.
Minimal effort. So.
Love that much.
But next chapter in the S10 might be trying to get that transmission in there, and that is looking like that is a very possible path at the moment. Something to get excited about.
The manual one more time.
All right, dude. So stick with us, guys. Thank you guys for your support, and we definitely appreciate it. Well, guys, I don't say that often, but I really do love Florida. It's a really nice day. It's not very hot. We've got lots of freedom down here in Florida. You guys should come. And we got a really nice airboat here. This one is particularly nice, and this one's right at my alley. It's kind of small, extra light, and it's got a very decent naturally aspirated power plant. This is all glass. Nice. I like the KTM saddlebag. He's got a bunch of tools in there. I thought that was really cool. Love the name.
Well, we can open it. You want to take a picture of it with it open?
All right, so we got a heads cam LS3 right here. He was gonna put a big block in this thing, changed his mind. Keeping with that really light idea. And how long is the boat exactly?
14.
14 feet, nice, man. All right, let's fire this thing up. This is a little different here. Normally, I'm down on the side, but today I'm in the captain's chair. It's definitely a nice view from up here. It's totally different. Usually over to the side just watching the air fuel and all that, but we got the air fuel right here, so kind of need to sit right here. Alright, so right now we're trying to clean up the fuel map. This was really rich earlier. It's still pretty rich. We're going to be washing our wideband. Our tach is not working right now, so we're going to try and get that working. Got good oil pressure, good voltage. Temp is pretty accurate. That's measuring at a different spot right there. Running good and smooth. We just did a plug change. The plugs we had in were a little too hot. We want to be able to run this pretty hard. But this is where we start to lean on this thing a little bit, turn up the RPMs, and see where it's holding out at. So we might have to change the pitch to arrive at a certain RPM. We're going to try that right now and give it a first little hit right here. That was good. All right, so we got 4,900 RPM. We may want to change the pitch on the blade in order to get that to RPM just a little higher. I also need to change the spark advance. The air fuel looks really good for starters. You think this is how light now?
1,800 to 2,000.
That's pretty ripping right there.
Be ripping.
Yeah, and then your boat right here.
My boat's got to be 3,000 pounds.
And you've got the LSA with heads cam and E85 and all that stuff. So normally that would be something like 800, almost 775, 800 wheel in a car, and 3,000 pounds. And we're looking at, in my mind, this thing should easily make like 520 to the wheels.
Said 550.
And in a 2,000 pound.
To the wheels.
To the wheels in a chassis dyno, in a 2,000 pound car. So yeah, that's, both of those are very quick. All right, so we're adding 1.5 degrees of timing real quick here, just cleaning up park throttle fuel map, and we're gonna try this again, see if we get a little bit more RPM. And if we don't, we're going to change the pitch a little bit, which is like change the gear ratio. Very, 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 very close though. It actually was a little richer. It was like 12.0, 12 to 12.4. So I can pull a little bit of fuel out. I'll do that one more time here and see if we can get a little bit more RPM. But I did add a 1.5 degrees. Didn't really help very much. But again, the richness could have offset that a little bit.
The 16th of an
inch. That'd probably be it right there, I would say.
That just freaks me out, man.
Smacking it
Hitting
like that.
carbon fiber with a hammer. All right, so we're gonna move the ruler, and now that'll be basically that'll be our measurement point on each blade. We're gonna have to do that. So make sure they're all the same.
Get back, just a tad back. Oh, you're there. Good.
Well, after making those little adjustments in the pitch on the prop, we were able to turn that thing about 5,500 RPM. What's really interesting is that when that boat is actually in motion, dynamically going through the air, typically they pick up between 1 to 300 RPM. 56 to 5,800 RPM, that thing would absolutely rip. And again, since we've already tuned it at a lower RPM, we can turn it back down if we want to be able to make a little bit more bottom end torque and or make a little bit better gas mileage. But just wanted to say thank you guys for watching. Been crazy busy with stuff, so I'm going to try and get back to doing a little bit more uploads, but thank you guys so much for your support. Definitely appreciate it. Please check out our store. We're so appreciative, and it is an absolute milestone. We're inching towards 400,000 subs, so thank you guys so very much. The truth doesn't mind being questioned, but a lie does not like to be challenged. Guys, wanted to have you check out a song there. This one's called The Clockmaker by Vexair. It's a weird kind of dubstep song, but I hope you guys dig it. God bless you guys. We'll see you next episode.